All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So hopefully you can all hear me okay. I did this last year, and this is always interesting because there's a little delay, so I have to figure out how that works with an audience. But we'll have fun today, I promise. So first of all, thank you for coming. I want to tell you a little bit about me and Icimo, which is the company that I'm the Chief Experience Officer for. Icimo has helped organizations for the last 8 years really make the most of their Tableau experience, right? We've worked with Tableau as a partner for 8 years, and what we've really been focused on is helping people use their information, use their data, and be as successful as possible with Tableau. That's our goal. It's really simple. We take our client solutions to heart. What we look for is success in what you all do. And we look for that success and we measure that success using Net Promoter Score. Our 3-year average of who knows what Net Promoter is? Everybody familiar with what Net Promoter is? Well, those of you that aren't, what Net Promoter is all about is I know you've taken one of the surveys. It says, would you recommend this product or service to a friend, family member, or colleague, and rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, to do well with Net Promoter, you've got to have numbers that are 9 and 10 all the time. And we're very proud of the fact that our 3-year running average is 78. Well, what that means is, it means we do what we say we're going to do to our clients, and we build a really engaging and situation where we work with our clients and we help make them successful by putting their goals ahead of them. We've won some awards along the way which are special to us, but what we've won them for is the outstanding work that our clients have gotten to do with Tableau. And what I want to share today is a lot of times what we talk about with Tableau is really simple. We buy Tableau, we want to do great things. How many people in the audience your day in, day out job is an analyst? Okay. How many people are a manager or are in the marketing or business side of their business? How many people are in IT? Okay, awesome. So what we try and do is make sure that people understand how those two things, the Icimo name comes from the convergence of marketing and information, right? That's where Icimo comes from. I was both a CIO and a chief marketing officer at different times in my career, and I saw Tableau as the way to put those two things together and be really successful. And so we put those together. And what we like to talk about, and why we have a football player up here, is we like to talk about Tableau success in terms of engagement and adoption. And the only way that you do that within your organizations is to build champions, right? And so we talk about what it takes to build a champion. How do we build a champion? You're going to hear me talk about 3 pillars of success in Tableau. To be fully engaged with Tableau, the first thing we have to do is build champions. Now, our champions don't necessarily look like this, right? Because we're not building a champion for on the field. What we're trying to do is build a clicker that works. A champion that looks like this. We're trying to build a champion that when we're done with what we do, whether we're doing analytics or we've delivered the analytics tool set to one of our business users or one of our business partners in each of your organizations, that they look like this when they're done for the day, right? If we build champions, we can be successful. And so to be fully engaged with Tableau means we have to build champions. So during that process, what we're trying to do is we need to understand it. How many people have used Tableau for more than 5 years? How many people have used it for more than 2 years? How many just 1 year, less than 2 years? All right, so you all are probably starting this journey and you're probably finding things out that you think champions just come about. Right? Well, what you have to do is we have to understand ways to build champions. So we're all here at the Tableau conference, at this data conference where everything is about data and how we can use data and how we can use Tableau. Well, what we at Icimo did was we said, you know what? We use data all the time to answer business questions, to solve problems. We use Tableau in all our interactions for what we do to be successful at business. Why can't we use Tableau to be successful at Tableau? Right? Pretty simple question. But being able to build success from Tableau, we put together what's called our team suite. Now, whether you look at Icimo as a vendor who can provide a product and a team and the team suite as a licensed product, or whether you go do this on your own, Tableau makes that available to you. Because what Tableau does is it gives us the ability to understand how people use the tool. So what we have done here, and let me tell you a little bit about the history of this. The history of this product came about because we were trying to help people make the most of their Tableau experience. And so we took 35 of our clients, and for 18 months, we exposed everything Tableau has to offer relative to all the data they collect and all the usage information that gets collected in the Postgres database behind the scenes in Tableau, and we put it to work. And we put this in front of these 35 clients, and we got feedback, and we heard about what worked, and we were tracking to see exactly how people were engaging with Tableau and what that resulted in. And when we did, we put all of this together and we codified it into 3 workbooks. And then we distilled it down to the things that actually made a difference. And in looking at the things that actually made a difference, what we found is there are 3 pillars. One of them I talked about already, which is champions. So you see here at the top of this workbook, we have who our top users are. Well, you know what? Top users are important because those are our champions. But the people who are at the bottom of the list, me, are our opportunities. That's our opportunities. Because if we look at those people, there's something that they're missing, right? They either haven't been trained on Tableau, and so they're not comfortable with the new tool that they've put into place. Or the bigger opportunity is they haven't been exposed to content that makes their job easier. And so if you think about it, a simple visual like this gives us insight into how we're doing in engaging people in that Tableau experience. We're deciding how we can interact with them in a better way. So what we start to understand going from the big dashboard, where we can also see when are people using Tableau, what are the peak hours, what days of the week, what is the trend, but then we can kind of move here into a second component, which is we also want to know how they're using desktop. Because we have our server users, and we assume a lot of times that our creator or desktop users are fully engaged, but they may not be. Well, Tableau gives us the ability to see how and where our desktops are being used. So we can also know what creators are getting engaged in creating content besides what they're publishing, but what they're working on, how they're engaging. And if we can look at this just like we would look at metrics for sales or supply chain or overall KPIs, and we look at a KPI relative to Tableau and our Tableau usage, we can really get a strong understanding of what makes a difference. And we start to know who our desktop champions are. We can make an impact on how people are leveraging the data, because our goal, I'm guessing everybody in the room's goal, is to have a data-driven organization, right? That's what's beautiful about Tableau, helping people see and understand their data and making and facilitating that. And so that's what's really important. Excuse me. So one of the things that we talk about, and some of our largest clients talk about, is being trapped with walls of data. They feel like this. We know that Tableau helps us break through these walls, but how many times, how many people in the room, analysts, technology people, how many times have you been asked to replicate a spreadsheet in Tableau? I mean, here we have this fantastic new tool, and we work with our business partner and they say, no, just make it look like it does in Excel. And so we think about this in terms of walls of data when really what we want to create is this kind of experience. You heard at the keynote this morning talking about the interactive screens that they used in some of their sessions to let executives get in touch with the data. Well, what we have the ability to do with this is really change the experience. Well, what does that mean? It means that we have to understand content. And so when we start to look at the content that people are using the most, we can start to understand a couple of things. What content is driving activity? What are people paying attention to? What are people engaging with? And more importantly, what are people not? Tableau fully engaged. The workbook. Not the session, the workbook. That's because I'm the only one who paid attention to the workbook, right? But what is happening is when we start to identify content, we start to talk about that second pillar of what makes Tableau engaging. And in that process, and in looking at these activities, what we're able to see is we're understanding what content is grabbing people, but we're also identifying we might have something really important that lives in here that people may just not know about. We need to socialize. We need to let them know that there's this content out there. We need to let them understand how to use that content more effectively and how they can put it to work. And so what we look at in that second pillar is how do we manage content? Because another important part of content is this. A lot of times we build content and we forget about it. What we found to fully engage people in Tableau is that we have to do something special. What we have to do that is special is we have to eliminate clutter. Because clutter is as big of an impediment as anything to people using the content that they need access to. If we have items that haven't been touched in 180 days, why? If we have content that hasn't been touched in 2 years, why does it exist? Because what it does is it gets in the way and people don't understand the opportunity of all that they can use because they get in there and they get overwhelmed with what they see. And so as we look at the opportunities for being fully engaged with Tableau, not only do we have to build champions as our first pillar, but we really have to drive content, and driving content doesn't mean creating more of it. It means being more efficient with it. What do people use? What do they not use? And get it out of the way quickly. As you think about that, I want you to think about what you do every day with your Tableau deployment and your current engagement with Tableau, and think about how much content has just been put out there that gets in the way. Because that is as big a problem as anything else. The last thing is speed. This is hyper speed, right? This is what we think about when we see a sci-fi movie. This is the speed that we all move at today, right? People expect things to happen instantaneously, and they expect them to have the information at their disposal. So what does that mean to all of us who are working with Tableau? It means we need to look like, this. We need to have the rocket pack on our desk so we can move at the speed of which people are asking us questions. So all of you have implemented Tableau, and all of you who are working with Tableau, have you seen a change in how quickly you can deliver information? How much more quickly than you used to be able to deliver a report? Right. Guess what that does? I'm sorry to say, that changes expectations of everybody who's receiving the information. We've worked with some of the largest companies in the world to some of the smallest companies in the world. And no matter who we work with, speed has become one of the most critical components. So what do you need to do? And what does Tableau give you to deal with that? So when we talk about fully engaging, we're doing the analytics. We're analyzing how our vises load at a macro level. And if we look at it at a macro level and we look into this, what we're able to do is we're able to identify problem children, right? Maybe it's okay that a viz takes 22 seconds to load. I will tell you, in most cases, it's not. Marketing studies show us that most Americans have the attention span of 8 seconds. Okay, 8 seconds. A bunch of marketing studies in advertising and other things tell us that. What else we learn from this is we have a client that I like to point out all the time. They're a financial institution and they have reporting requirements every month. And they have this one reporting requirement that they have this report that was due on the 10th business day of every month. Just think about that, 10 business days. That is a fair number, right? Fairly lengthy period of time. We introduced Tableau and they were pushing it to the wire every month to get to that 10th business day, burning the midnight oil because it was due. You introduce Tableau and that process goes to 2 hours after the data closes for the end of the month, which is like the first business day of the month on the 3rd hour of the business day. They can run these reports and have that whole presentation, the whole report set done. So we go from 10 business days to 3 hours into the workday and immediate results, but 12 seconds is too long. 10 business days to 12 seconds. That's what we're dealing with. And people aren't happy if they're waiting more than 12. So one of the things we talk about is performance and thinking about how our vises are performing and keeping an eye on this. The beauty of Tableau Server is that we can set an alert for any vises that are happening over our threshold, right? We can take advantage we're using Team Suite, but the Postgres surfaces all of this data to give us what we need. It gives us this ability to build champions, to look at content, to look at performance, and help ourselves be successful with Tableau. We can do all of this. We can look at performance, we can drill in, and we can see exactly what is taking the time, and then we can talk to a content author. We can talk to the publisher of the viz and talk about, is this a data source issue? Is this, we tried to load 14 vises in the first quadrant of a dashboard, right? How do we improve on performance is a key component of what we're trying to accomplish. Clicker. One of the other things we identified is we're spending way too much time on administration. How many people have to do permissions on their Tableau server? Look at that. All right. We got a big group of people. One of the things that we've done in Team Suite is we've made this simpler. In Team Suite, what we've done is we've exposed all the projects or all the workbooks or all of the users in a one-stop shop. Meaning, you can look at all the permissions for all the projects and everything in one screen, where normally you have to go project to project. Who enjoys that? We got a new employee and now I have to go look at all the projects that they have access to because it's outside of a specific group that I have set up, and I've got to manage that. So what we want to do is be able to check permissions and look at them at a higher level so we're not digging in and we're not spending that valuable, precious time that we have digging into it. So we exposed it in one spot. The beauty of this is you can also then set up links to go to that project to change the permissions. In our beta of the next version that's coming out of Team Suite, we're going to let you change it from there with an extension API call. So you don't even have to leave the screen. You can make that change, make the change there, and move on. The idea behind it is, whether you're using Team Suite or not, you look for opportunities to engage with Tableau using data. We all in our jobs would not think about changing something in supply chain. We wouldn't think about changing something in our marketing efforts. We wouldn't think about changing something in sales without the data. Well, we do things in Tableau all the time without data. And so what we've got to do is pull together the information to make ourselves more successful, to make ourselves more efficient in what we're trying to do, and ultimately deliver a more engaged experience with Tableau. We can audit this with roles and rules and everything else so we can get that in one spot. Oops. And then ultimately for server admins, I actually did want to click one more. For server admins, we've automated Tabmon. So Tabmon lets you monitor all the underlying systems, all the underlying processes of Tableau server, the VizQL process, the data server, all the other elements in one spot so we can analyze exactly what those look like. What this has done, what Tableau fully engaged looks like when you use these tools, or you use the tools you build from the Postgres yourself, is this ability to have all the data you need to say, you know what? We need to add more CPUs to our server. We need to add more memory to our server. We need to add more users because our adoption rate has gone through the roof. We have more people being engaged. We have multiple clients who have taken these tools and said, you know what? Now we have a model for rolling this out to different departments in our organization. We know what usage is going to be. We know what the pickup is going to be. We know what impact it's going to have on the underlying server architecture. If we need to understand these things and use data so we can get more from Tableau server, we have the ability to do that. We have the ability to make it happen because Tableau gives us everything we need to be fully engaged with delivering on what we want. Whether you're using it with our team suite, which we offer on a subscription basis, and that subscription is just designed to let us keep up with what Francois talked about this morning, which is quarterly releases where everything changes. We do that on a subscription basis. The cost for an enterprise is $2,500. The cost for commercial, less than 100 users, is $1,000 a year. That's it. The idea is to make you more successful. The idea is for you to make the most out of your engagement with Tableau and for you to be as successful as possible. I appreciate you taking the time coming to the event today. Enjoy the rest of the conference and thank you for taking the time.